Hey, good Tuesday morning, guys, and thanks for checking out your latest long range forecast update. Michael Clark with BAM Weather. Want to get into the latest today, a little bit of a quicker long range analysis, but nonetheless, we've got some interesting trends towards the forecast that we talked about yesterday. I don't know if you saw our 60-second reel or update about a big Halloween cold front, and that's really starting to look like more of a reality as we get closer. We're about 13 or 14 days away right now. And so I want to dive right into the latest overnight changes here in the weather modeling. In the European model, a much wetter trend in the forecast here, especially across the central and deep south, especially getting into next week. This is just the change versus the previous 12 hours. And again, you can see overall a wetter forecast there. The bigger story to note is the change in the temperature forecast. A much colder forecast overall signaling a stronger cold front is on the table here late month. I think we're looking at on the north and west side of this area of low pressure system. I think we're looking at a wintry risk, and we're looking at a severe weather risk and wind out ahead of it. So I will tell you, somewhere around the 29th to 31st of October, if you have not yet gotten crops out, a big wind event may be possible. And so that's something to be concerned with. Anything right now is going to continue to hurt the overall bottom line here of this crop. So let's keep an eye on this storm system. It's not messing around, I don't think, this coming forward here later this month. This is a look at precipitation here just over the last 7 days. Again, you can see yesterday we kind of talked about just how wet it has been, but especially here across the central plains, the Midwest, and the northern or Midwest or Great Lakes and the Ohio Valley here, where we've had locally 2 inches or more of rain, especially across portions of South Dakota and northern Nebraska, northern Iowa, southern Minnesota, Illinois, and there across Wisconsin as well. So it's been wet in the southeast and in the central plains. All right, I want to show you real quick just the pattern. Looking at the weather models, we do have a front coming through. This is the GFS model, a front with wind coming through. We talked about that yesterday, that will bring some rain. European model, very similar. Okay, you can see the front coming through north central plains, going to bring a cooler shot of air, area of low pressure through the Great Lakes, and then it kind of links up with the storm system along the East Coast and really turns into a big storm system. The GFS and the European across Northeast and New England have a big 980 area of low pressure. Big storm that will offer up a lot of rain there in the north and east. All right, the next system that will come through of note, we'll get into next week. This is the European model. Another big storm system develops, 990 area of low pressure. Look at the GFS, same time, close. Got a big 999 low just off the east side of the Rockies there. Another indication, you can see the warmth out ahead of it, okay, and the cold back behind it. All right, the European also seeing this. That storm system there also possibly coming around the 25th or 26th. I don't believe that's the big one either. That's the European model. If we get out to the GFS and we get out to the extended range, there's still indications, again, yet another bigger storm in there, as you can see, towards the end of the month. Okay, so there's potentially 2 storm systems that we're targeting. In the next 7 days, there's not a lot of rainfall to be had. We got that weak system coming through Wednesday into Thursday. The majority of the rain will be across the Northeast and New England, as I was mentioning, some locally heavier totals up there. 1/4 inch, 4/10 of an inch here across the Ohio Valley, Tennessee Valley as well. All right. But this is the overall pattern right now. You can see here comes the front, bringing the colder temperatures in. We've got 30s this morning across portions of the Midwest. And as we go forward, watch what happens. Day 6, day 7, watch the ridge build into the east. You've got this strong ridge building into the east over the Great Lakes by the evening of the 24th with a front that's going to run into that. That is why the forecast is trending wetter. And this particular feature here, the trough that you see in the PNW, this is naturally going to continue to trend stronger because of this very, very high amplified pattern. Okay, this pattern is loaded, what I like to call loaded for bear. You've got 1, you've got 2, you've got 3 disturbances, and these are going to be potent, I believe. All right, as this starts to come through, this front will come through, and I don't believe it's modeled strong enough right now in the extended, because Halloween or the end of the month is day 15 right now. But you can see what it's trying to do in that time frame is knock out that ridge. Okay, leave us with this plus PNA, this trough in the east, and send down the cold air. And that's what's going to happen. And as that happens, the central U.S. is going to get hit with a big storm and maybe a couple of them. In fact, some of the individual ensemble members of the American computer model indicating towards the end of this month that there's a bigger system that could possibly offer up the season's first winter storm for the central and northern plains. That's not out of the question here as we continue to go forward. This is the European model's probability of over an inch of rain over the next 15 days between now and the 1st of November. Really, I think areas of note, anywhere where the yellow is showing up, that is essentially a 65% probability or higher of an inch or more of rain here over the course of the next 15 days. You can see where the probability is going to be the highest across the Great Lakes, and then down here across the Arklatex regions of the Deep South, Missouri as well. Well, maybe not the Arklatex regions. It's not really including Louisiana, but we do have Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Missouri in a higher end potential for excessive rains. I think it can come in the form of severe weather and wind. Okay, and so keep that in mind. Again, if crops still in the ground, especially the beans, that can become problematic. The pattern we talked about yesterday, real quickly, some analogs where we've got some negative angular momentum behavior, negative global wind pattern behavior. Some of you might not know what that means. Long story short, the global wind oscillation or the global wind pattern is still behaving more like La Nina, whereas the ocean is really starting to move towards El Nino. We don't have really a coupled ocean in atmospheric state yet. Years where that was similar: 1991, 1994, 2004, and 2019. When you look at what those years produced for October and November, here's what happened. Temperatures were above normal in the east, okay? And overall, they were below normal here in the central and western U.S. Well, what that does is that sets up a battle zone, okay? Where it's warmer east, cooler west. Well, look at the weather models. They're starting to mirror exactly the analog package, all right? What this will feature is big shots of cold air, but also a lot of moisture. Look how wet it was in this particular time frame. Look at the week 2 forecast now from the European model, forecasting the potential for 200 to 300% of the normal rainfall in week 2. These look very, very similar. There's a lot of talking going on here in terms of the methodology and the computer models. So there's really no reason to dismiss this right now. Something we're going to continue to watch. When we look at our clusters, we look at a lot of the individual ensemble members. Again, you can see the 8 to 14 day period absolutely soaked in the central U.S. There's really strong agreement on that. The heaviest rainfall threat, again, coming right in through here. Again, multiple ensembles here, signaling that even there could be some intense rainfall signals there across Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas. Okay, but the takeaway: look at the warmth in the east, and look at the cold wanting to load in behind it. That's the analog package right now. So I think what October and November going forward feature: big warm-ups out ahead, big cold fronts behind, bringing a shot of cold air, big storm systems and rain, possibly early season wintry risks for the central and northern plains, even the Great Lakes. Warms up again, gets cold again, repeat, right? Look at the European weekly from last night. The model ran. Look at its change in the forecast. I want to show you its trend from the previous run, and you can kind of see what it's doing. That's the trend, if you will. That's not the forecast, but look what it's doing. It's putting that warmth out ahead, bringing the cold in behind it, and obviously that's going to yield a much wetter forecast as well. So the trend in the subseasonal weekly data doing the same thing right now. I do want to tell you these plots here, looking down the line. This is the GEFS looking out into mid-November at the stratospheric polar vortex forecast. Because I get a lot of questions about, well, Michael, what are we seeing for December? This is strong agreement in a stronger than normal polar vortex out through mid-November. Okay. So while these patterns can be loaded, they can be active, and they can feature big cold fronts, sustained colder patterns right now, late November into December, that may be difficult to come by. Here's the Europeans' computer model for for the time being. Okay. Well, watch this. We do have a few members that are trying to suggest a weakened polar vortex late November, early December. The overall consensus is an average to above average vortex. Let's watch this forecast in the coming days to see if there's any indications of a weakened polar vortex or potentially at least the outcome of something that could be signaling different than a warmer December. But right now, there is nothing suggesting big cold late November into December. In fact, I see a potential mid-November heat wave possible. A big shot of warmer air mid-November is not out of the question right now. We'll keep you posted. If you have questions, let us know. Have a great day.